Hi, everybody. Welcome back to the Stark Media YouTube channel, High School Football Preview Show. Our third one here at the Pro Football Hall of Fame. Shout out to the Hall for their outstanding hospitality here. And if you're looking for somewhere to go here in the next couple days or weeks or over break with the kids, the Pro Football Hall of Fame is the place to be. Come check it out. If you haven't been here in a while, you are missing a lot. ProFootballHOF.com if you want to check them out. And you should do that. All right, before we do a preview, fellas, Sammy B and Drew and TJ, we're going to do a little review here of the ball games that took place last weekend. And, ouch, we lost a bunch. Now, we got four still kicking, but we lost a bunch last weekend, guys. St. Edward's, Jackson, 42-0. Bears had a lot of guys out. Eds is Eds. But a nice run by Jay Rohr's crew. And, look, Lucas Eckerman's going to be coming back for sophomore year. They got some pieces, don't they?
Yeah, I think the future's bright with Jackson. The first year under Jay Rohr, it's always important as a head coach in your first year is to instill the culture that you want there, because you can't redo that first impression as a head coach. So you've really got to, put into place what I want my program to be, how I want my kids to act. And I think Jay Rohr did a great job. I mean, I think – with everything they lost last year, people may have counted them out. I mean, they won a playoff game. They haven't won many playoff games in their school's history. Very successful. They got the freshman in there, Eckerman, like you said, starting to play well towards the end of the year. I think the future's bright for Jay Rohr and the Jackson Polar Bears, and I think he did a great job in his first year.
And when you talk about the future being bright, you have to start to develop that young talent around him. And I know when we look through this roster here, and first off, it's going to be tough sledding going up and playing St. Ed's when you're doing it -5 of your best guys. Colton Arnold, Des Zimmerman, he's been out for a few weeks from some concussion stuff. Luke Johnson wasn't able to go. You don't have Ethan Lesko. You don't have Dane McCready's. I mean, these are guys that we all know as impact players on Jackson's team. And then look alongside it. Senior. Luke Johnson, senior. Caden Edwards, Reagan Malloy, all these guys seniors. So now for Jay Rohr, it's, hey, I believe he mentioned to us, and it was astronomical to us. You and I both kind of looked at each other at St. Harlumbo's when he said between freshman and sophomore class, there's like a lot of guys. It was over 100.
Yeah.
It was over 100.
Yeah.
So develop those guys to be able to come along with Lucas Eckerman, and you've got something there. You got to hope to be able to pull out some offensive linemen quick, because you don't want Lucas out there running for his life. But if he does, he's got track speed, so I guess he'll be all right. So, hey, again, great season. As Drew mentioned, the playoff cabinet isn't deep there at Jackson, so just getting that win over Berea Mid-Park was huge.
Absolutely.
And now you want to develop, reinvigorate, and take the next step next year. All right. He almost had this one. Now, he guaranteed it, and he lost, but I think he should have had it. Mentor comes back, beats Kent McKinley 19-14. The Bulldogs had taken the lead late. Mentor goes down the field. It was a backyard scramble, one of those touchdown deals, and they win the game 19-14 over the Bulldogs. A tough way to go for Antonio Hall and the Bulldogs. But it's been almost 3 or 4 days, and I'm still like, how kids are more resilient than adults, and I got no. Well, I did have a dog in the fight. I wanted McKinley to win the game, as we all did.
Yeah.
And gosh, that's a tough loss. But they'll be able to pick up the pieces. But man alive, they were on the doorstep.
Someone forgot to tell the Mentor quarterback that I guaranteed McKinley would win that game. What the hell's going on there? But no, I mean, McKinley goes down and scores. They're without Sincere McNeil. Nino Hill obviously was not even close to 100%.
Not 100% at all. No.
They're missing other guys in the defensive line. They had injuries all over, really banged up. The grit that they showed to get to that point and then to take the lead with 1:14 left in that game. Keaton Rohde throws a pass to senior Trayshawn Foster, who made a big play for them. And then the circus play that happened. I mean, McKinley had him dead to rights.
It was a circus play. It was.
I mean, his knee looked like it was almost down. He put his hand down to regain his balance, got up, chucked it deep, and found someone. That was a miracle play, and you hate to see McKinley lose like that. So hats off to Coach Antonio Hall. I mean, let's face it, when they were 0-4, there were a lot of people in Stark County giving Coach Antonio Hall a lot of shit.
Yeah.
And all he did was kept a really, really, really young team focused, and they improved every single week. We talked about it. Week 10 against Massillon, no one gave them a puncher's chance, and they were in that game to the very end.
Ball game.
So I think the future. We talk about the future is bright at Jackson. This McKinley
young
ball
kids at McKinley
club,
too.
Sophomores all over the field making huge plays throughout the season. This McKinley Bulldog team is going to be really good next year.
Got to keep them together, though.
Hey,
got to keep everybody together.
Was it Johnny Unitas or Earl Morrill that played for the Colts there in Super Bowl III?
Johnny, you.
Did they tell him before the game that Joe Namath made the guarantee? I don't. We can probably go down the hallway here and find out.
Ask the bus.
You don't want to get me started on Super Bowl III.
Well,
we don't have time for that.
We'll check out the bus room and see what they have to say. But no, for me, again, it looks a lot like the senior group as we talked about with Jackson. They're kind of littered all over this team. Those are the guys you really feel bad for. I mean, four out of your 5 starting offensive linemen will be gone. McCole, Ivory, Burt, they're all going to graduate. Caleb Edwards really the only guy coming back with experience. But when you lose a core group of seniors, you hope that there's something deep in the trenches. I don't know. I know what I've seen from these sophomores. We know that they're very talented. I mean, Keith Quincy came on the scene late. We know what Nino Hill, what he brings to the table. Dante McClellan's a stud. So. But it doesn't seem to be in the 9th, 7th, 8th grade. I don't know if there's going to be as much of a boost for the McKinley Bulldogs. So the time is now. If you're going to do it, get rip-roaring, rock and rolling here in the offseason. Really, we all know Antonio Hall well enough to know that day one he's going to be in there the first time they can lift weights. When the break is up, time to go, Antonio Hall's going to have those guys ready for a drive next year. Yep.
So good luck to Antonio Hall and the Bulldogs during the offseason, and they should have a nice year. Next year. All right, Warrensville, Westerville South, and North Canton Hoover. This is the game here. Went down to a Hail Mary for the Vikings. They couldn't pull it out. They fought, they punched, they counterpunched all night. And, it's kind of ironic we sit here today as yesterday the Bulldozers were over at Memorial Stadium taking down the home stands and the roof, and they're doing a big renovation over there, long overdue, and good luck with that over there at North Canton. And, today we're talking about the end of their season, but I said if Mason Ashby would have a big game. He was well on his way. Broke his collarbone early. He had to come out, and there went a lot of the Hoover offense. I was told that Mason Ashby was like 75% of the game plan that they were going to use to beat Westerville that night. And he was off to a great start. Tough break, he gets hurt, and the rest is history.
Yeah, sometimes when you're playing good teams in the playoffs, you need to do extraordinary things to win. Hoover didn't turn the ball over in this game. They played well on defense. They were very efficient on offense. Zach Brocker, the young sophomore with Ashby out, steps up, catches the ball 10 times. Carson Derlin was tough. Luke Roach played well. And it's just really unfortunate. But, we talked about Jackson, how they lost some players. This Hoover team, the reigning Federal League champions from a year ago, lost a ton. Yeah. And everyone counted them out. And by the end of the season, they're playing as well as anybody in the Federal League. Carson Derlin was playing like a senior out there. He's only a junior. He comes back. They return a lot of players. Coach Baum has proven as the coach at North Canton Hoover. We always hear rumblings. They're unhappy. They're unhappy. Hey, this guy just won the Federal League championship when no one expected him to. Right. Comes back the next year. They were, 8-3? 8-3 at one point before they lost this past week. He's a phenomenal head football coach, and his staff's doing a great job. And I would, if anyone says anything negative about Brian Baum, you better reevaluate your knowledge.
Who's your head
of football.
Coach? What's your head coach doing? Is he putting outright championships on the table?
Yeah.
No, and again, they lose a lot of their offensive linemen, too. I mean, you look at their Bradley Cormanack up to Hudson Lint, down to C.J. Lehman.
They did last year, though, too.
And they had to reload. Even, C.J. Lehman's brother was on that team. I mean, those guys completely reloaded up front, and they still got it done. And now you look at all the skill that still comes back with Carson Derlin, Mason Ashby, Brocker, even Brady Sullivan in the trenches. Yeah. He'll be back. You lose some really good guys at the linebacker position with McKelly and Gregualo, but one thing I really like is A.J. Dolph and some of these young lacrosse players that have gotten involved because they like the physical part of the game. So that's going to really help his defense as he looks to reload. And we got some special plans coming down the line, too. We were just having some meetings last night for the winter coming up. So guys like A.J. Dolph and some of these Hoover wrestlers, Stark Media has some huge developing plans that have been started last night with some wrestling minds, some wrestling heads that have been around the area for over 30 years. So we're going to have some big plans on the wrestling mat this winter.
Cool.
All right. I am not a wrestling mind, so that's probably a good thing. But whatever we're doing, I'm down. All right. But again, to wrap up the Viking season, tremendous job by Coach Baum, and future's looking bright. Getting some new digs over there at North Canton, and we'll see what happens. All right, tough way to go for the Fairless Falcons. Everybody kind of knew they were up against it. Long road trip. Lake County Perry is a tradition-rich football program. For years, they get into the second, third, fourth round of the postseason. I mean, Fairless emptied out the tank. They emptied the playbook. They tried everything they could. They just didn't have enough. They just didn't have enough.
Yeah, great career for this Fairless senior class, what they've been able to accomplish and really change the culture of Fairless football alongside with Coach A.J. Sarbaugh. You just can't speak enough about him.
Yeah, I really enjoyed watching his offensive line progress. Tom Fox, Xavier Collier, those guys, Dom Emer, was sporting the mullet. And I got a chance to go out there and talk to those guys at the father-son steak fry. And it was cool to be able to see them kind of travel through the season. And, I gave them the goal to shoot for themselves, not to just share the Pac-7, but to win it outright, like the Hoover Vikings had done last season. It didn't work out that way, but they brought another piece home. And they just made A.J. Sarbaugh the winningest football coach in history over there, and just did something they haven't done in 3 consecutive years, but only one time, and that's going all the way back to the late 70s and 80s. So salute to what you guys did over there, senior class. You guys played some really, really valuable football for your high school.
Yep, and good luck in the future to all those young men that are going to go on and play. Ones that are just going to go off the college workforce. Thank you for the memories, and thank you for some great football with the Fairless Falcons. All right, the game that Drew was at with Jeff, and I don't think a lot of us saw this coming. I don't think. Booked all over Northwest, 31-14. It was kind of a ragtag game early. What was it, 7-2 at one point, and we're getting the scores. I'm doing our game. TJ's doing his game. And I'm looking at the scores, and every time I look down, I'm getting bad news. Booked was just starting to really take advantage here. You were there. Tell us what happened.
Yeah, so it was really a story of missed opportunities in the first half for Northwest. They turned the ball over a couple times in the first half. The defense was playing well. Northwest played amazing the week before. I thought they looked phenomenal against Streetsboro, but they were dominated on the line of scrimmage in this game by Akron Buchtel on both sides of the ball, especially the defensive line versus Northwest offensive line. If you could go back and listen to that game, I think it's probably around the 35-minute mark. One of the craziest plays in high school football I have ever seen. The officials took 15 real-time minutes to figure out what happened. More or less, it was fourth down. There's 50 seconds left in the half. Buchtel snaps the ball over the punter's head. Mm-hmm. The punter kicks the ball out of the back of the end zone, but he did it from the 10-yard line. So there was a question of, okay, is it a dead ball? Do we take the penalty? We have this much time. It was, is it a safety because – is it dead where he kicked it, or is it dead where the ball stops? It was absolutely crazy play. It took him forever to figure out, so go back and listen to that. It's a pretty funny exchange that we have in the press box amongst everyone. But, like I said, Akron Buchtel really dominated this game up front. But Chase Badger really impressed me again. I thought going into this game against Buchtel's speed, the ball had to come out quicker. You can't wait for those, okay, I see him open, now I'm going to throw it to him, because that Buchtel defense, he was putting it on the money. Unfortunately, the Northwest receivers weren't used to that, it didn't seem like. So the ball's hitting them in the shoulder before their head's around, those types of things. They weren't ready for the ball. But he's got a bright future, and what Coach John DeMarco is doing over there at Northwest is great. They've got great numbers coming back. I was just a little disappointed with their performance.
Yeah, and Buchtel's got some really talented young speed, too. I mean, Wiley Chairs and Zaire Lewis, those are some pretty talented guys. I know you said they didn't really ask their quarterback to do a whole lot, Stevie Diamond, but he's coming back. But the one thing, as you talk about, getting punched in the mouth up front, and that was kind of from the get-go, right? That was from the start of the game. There was a bit of smack talking going on. There was probably some guys that maybe just didn't come ready to play that game and see something different than what they've seen all year long. So I know Tennell Edwards, number 55, he was
phenomenal. He was the best player on the field.
Yeah, I mean, when you see a defensive lineman like that at that level in the Division IV level going against Northwest who hasn't seen team speed, there's going to be some problems. So, we'll talk more for as we look for the playoffs down the line here against West Branch and them facing Akron-Buchtel, how that might be similar inside of team speed. Have you seen it? Are you prepared for it?
Yep, that goes a long way. So, but shout out to Coach DeMarco and Northwest on a good season. Mogador over Central Catholic, 1914. I said it. We were this close to a miraculous Hail Mary win. Didn't happen, but quite the ball game. Mogador wins it by 5 at home. Central down 12-zip quick. They fight back, and it's there. It's there, but they just didn't have enough to get over the hump. But boy, a lot of Crusaders will be moving on through graduation, and the likes of Jack Talkington and others. But tough way to go, but a nice run for Trucker and the Crusaders. You just wish they could have kept going at least one more, because I think maybe they could have won another couple of games.
Yeah, in this game, it was really the physicality.
By the way, thanks for the jinx. You'd said Central win that too.
Hey, man, I'm trying to stick up for our Stark County Catholic
yeah, well,
schools
stop.
here. I like the matchup.
You're 0 for 2. Stop.
I like the matchup, but
I did too.
I really thought that Central, with how they had been playing recently, and especially playing against a physical team like Jackson, that would help them in this game. But they really struggled with the physicality of Mogador, and I think just at the beginning of this game, they just weren't sharp on offense. And in the second half, it looks like Central came out and their offense was clicking.
Yep.
So unfortunately, they got off to a slow start and they weren't able to complete that last pass in the end zone, which was a completable pass, and just couldn't come up with the connection. And it's a shame, because I really like Coach Lidda Smith over there. I like his staff. It's tough for me to say as the St. Thomas guys, because he's been there for a long time, and I've been on the short end of some beatings from Central. But I feel for those kids. Having an opportunity to win the game in the playoffs and not taking advantage of that opportunity is really tough to deal with. So, but hats off to them. Great season, and the Crusaders will be back. They always are.
Yep.
And shout out to Coach Dornis getting us taken care of up there. Lee Shooter Foster was up on the sidelines. I know as you guys get ready for high school basketball starting on 99.7 and the free iHeartRadio app, you can catch him and the natural Jeff Tyler on the Great Midwest Digital Network. They'll be doing some boys basketball going on. A big tournament coming up this weekend, kind of the preview. So you'll have multiple different matchups, and you'll be able to catch that on the Great Midwest Digital Network. For me, is this really becoming the telltale theme of the year, that there's a lot of teams are going to have a lot of people to replace? I mean, Central, big job to replace Jack Talkington, right? But you've got the young DeRuza kid, I believe, was somebody in training camp that when I was out there on the field, I mean, they're like, this is going to be a really nice quarterback as he develops. I know he got some cleanup duty throughout the season and probably had some great JV reps, but, when you have big linemen like Jonathan Stengel coming back, you're going to graduate some other big boys up front. That's always the key. You know that, Sam. You know that, Drew. At that level, those kids, if you've got some size, you've got a fighting chance. Now it's up to the coaching staff to be able to instill it in you. And Coach Jeff Linda Smith, Trucker, and his son, Bo, they do a great job in the trenches with those guys there. That'll bring them success if you can protect a young quarterback who's got some potential.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And I think a lot would agree. I don't know if Central and Mogador would. I think we need to see this game in the regular season.
Yeah.
I think Mogador and CCC need to play home and home.
I'm sure Central would love that.
And let's go. I mean, this has been a great little series in the playoffs, both games in Mogador. I think if you go home and home, you get this game, whatever, preferably early, middle year when the weather's good and everything. But I think that's a great series. I think we should go ahead and do it. Mm-hmm. What do you say?
And it's going to be interesting to see where these teams fall next year when we go from 7 back to 6 divisions.
Is that a lock?
Yes. So
we're going back to 6 divisions.
Going back to 6.
Okay.
So will Central be in Division 5? Will they still be in Division 6? Will Mogador? Mogador, I would assume, would be in Division 6. Mm-hmm. So that'll be interesting going forward.
Yeah, that's a great point. So good luck to the Crusaders, and hope they have a great off-season as well. All right, we're going to take our break. That's our review. Our preview is coming up. West Branch is in action. Canton South is action. Lake is in action. Massillon is rolling as well. We'll come back and break down all the big games coming up right here from the Pro Football Hall of Fame on the Stark Media YouTube channel.
McNeil & Sons Tree Service serves the greater Northeast Ohio area by keeping your property clear all year round. Do you have trees that have stretched too close to your home? A rotted tree that has to go? Or perhaps even storm damage? No job is too big or small for McNeil & Sons. We specialize in large tree removal, storm damage, stump grinding, land clearing, and more. McNeil & Sons Tree Service is fully licensed and insured, so contact us today at 330-606-1126 for all your tree care needs. Or visit us online at mcneiltree.com to schedule your free quote. The professionals at McNeil & Sons can inform you of your tree health and give you a risk assessment to keep your family protected. So call today, 330-606-1126. McNeil & Sons Tree Service, a company you can depend on with family you can trust.
Welcome back to the Pro Football Hall of Fame. It is the Stark Media YouTube channel, high school football review preview show. We've got some great games coming up this weekend. First of all, here's where we are going to be. Friday night, Lake Westerville South at Dover's Crater Stadium. That's on Rock 106.9 and the free iHeartRadio app. Friday night, TJ and the crew will be in Mansfield. Everybody's favorite facility, Arlen Field. Maslin takes on Sunbury Big Walnut, 99.7 FM, and the free iHeartRadio app. Also, a little bonus for you Friday night. Drew and the crew will be at InfoCision Stadium in Akron for St. Vincent, St. Mary, and Archbishop Hoban. That's on the Stark Media YouTube channel. And I understand we may have some
area coaches on there. Some area coaches on not in stone yet, but we've got multiple coaches that are going to be on that broadcast with myself up at InfoCision Stadium. The rematch of the Summit County Holy War, possibly the last matchup of Hoban St. V. For a while. It sounds like St. V may not so that's going to be like a coaches broadcast there. We're going to have some coaches, from around the area, maybe some coaches that have played, against those teams, give you a really neat perspective of the game. So obviously, follow your team, but you can check us out on the YouTube channel as well. Joe Hawkins over there is waving to us. I'm
available, Joe. I'm available for work. Hire me.
We'll have him jump on here real quick.
I do enjoy it.
All right.
Okay, sounds good.
Yeah. Joe Hawkins, the new chief financial officer here at the Pro Football Hall of Fame.
That's right.
Longtime coach in his own right here in the area. But, yes, we're going to have a bunch of coaches on that broadcast. It's going to be really cool to listen to. Go back and listen to it on our channel.
That's neat. So we got you covered. We got you covered. We're going to sneak over to Summit border just a little bit, but why not? With St. V and Hoban, you can't go wrong there. The great, it's almost going to be like a de facto Manning cast, so to speak, with some other coaches coming in. Lake Westerville South, Maslin, Big Walnut. And by the way, those of you folks that are going to games Friday night, ponchos, umbrellas, hats, 3 or 4 sets of dry clothes. We're supposed to get between 1 and 2 inches of rain Friday. 100% chance all the way is beginning late Thursday night all the way through Friday night. Just a little heads up if you're heading out.
Just dress like the Gordon's fishermen and you'll be all right.
Yeah, right, with the yellow deal, yeah. But if you're not going to the games, we'll have you covered here on 99.7, Rock 106.9, the free iHeartRadio app, and, of course, the Stark Media YouTube channel. All right, fellas, let's go. Here we go. We're going to go Division 4, Region 13. Fascinating matchup here, I think. West Branch and Buchtel. The number 1 seed, West Branch Warriors. The number 13 seed, Buchtel Griffins. Don't read into the seeds here. I think this is a fantastic matchup.
Yeah, Buchtel impressed me last week. Their offense may not have impressed me, but their defensive line impressed me. Their speed impressed me. Their discipline. There's a bad stereotype out there about Akron City Series football. It's undisciplined. That's not the case. Coach Brian Williams' team is a disciplined football team. They were getting Northwest to jump off sides. Northwest was having personal fouls after the plays. It was not the Buchtel Griffins. So, they're going to be a tough test for this West Branch team who probably has not seen this type of speed yet before. But Drew DeShields is healthy. which is a huge plus for West Branch. Like I said, Bookdale, good pass rush. Mm-hmm. They could probably make things difficult for West Branch, slow them down. But, what does that mean, slowing the West Branch offense down? Does that mean they score 35?
Well, he can get the ball out quick. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
He can get the ball out quick. So I think they'll be okay there. But still, Bookdale makes you play ugly, gets you out of your rhythm, and that's what West Branch has got to guard against.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, up front, I don't see this happening again the same way it did last week with the Northwest offensive line. I think guys like Mitch Coffey and Kyle Graham, some of the seasoned senior guys that have been kind of preparing themselves for this run, a nice run last year until I believe they ran into the Irish. For me, I think Drew DeShields goes out here and gets it done. I think they will be poised enough. Ken Harris is a really good coach. This is going to be exciting to see because, yes, you mentioned Tennell Edwards. What's he going to do again when you said last week you felt he was the best player on the field in that football game? Is he going to be that same form of himself on Saturday night? And we'll mind everybody that Saturday night while you're watching your college football, follow our Twitter feed, follow our Facebook feed, follow our Instagram feed. We will have updates. We will have video courtside for Canton South, for West Branch, in South Range, in Ravenna. So follow along. We'll have updates for you. We'll have videos for you that we'll be putting out, and we'll get you all the action that you need.
All right, so we got you covered Friday and Saturday with iHeart and the Stark Media YouTube channel. So West Branch and Bookdale, a healthy Drew DeShields, I give the Warriors a fighting chance.
I don't think Bookdale is efficient enough on offense to score enough points to beat West Branch. I think it's that simple.
And again, that game will be on the blue turf up at Ravenna, so hope to see a big crowd up there for that one. All right, number 7 seed Canton South and the number 6 seed Jefferson area. One word, Poochie.
I mean,
that's it. One word.
What he did
ridiculous
against Beaver Local. They beat Beaver Local 56-48 last week.
Tough place to play, I heard.
Yeah, it was. It was a tough place, right? I mean, they put up 48 points on them, 48 points on them, and it was a dogfight to the end. But what Poochie Snyder did, I've never seen before. 600 yards of offense and 8 touchdowns.
That's video game
That's
stuff.
Ridiculous.
It is.
That's Poochie stuff.
That's fantasy football type stuff right there. I mean,
Yeah.
that's good for your fantasy team.
Yeah.
But, Canton South, the thing that I think has propelled them in these games, they're giving up points. But it seems now they're starting to run the ball better.
Yeah.
And you need to be able to run the ball in the playoffs. And then constantly in these close games, their defense finds a way to force a turnover late. It happened against Fairless. It happened against Salem. It happened against Beaver Local. Their defense is forcing late turnovers that are saving this game for them. So I like Canton South. I think their first 2 opponents were in the playoffs are better than Jefferson area.
And I think you're right. And Zion Culver, just being a freshman himself, what he's doing behind some pretty good senior offensive linemen, Grant Treacher, and Matt Gazar is probably the biggest one at 6'2", 285. And then you even look at Corey Knoll, who's a little undersized, but on the defensive line gets it done as well at 210 pounds. But as you talked about, Drew, some of the impact guys on this defense, guys that are forcing things, creating turnovers, making big plays when needed. Ethan Fricky, who's only a sophomore, he's a very talented football player. And also Jordan Fitzgibbon. I mean, he does it in the secondary. He goes out there. He's not Poochie's main target. When you think about his main target, it's more Tavon Castle and Xavier Williams. They had more of the highlight reel catches, the 50, 60 yarders. They have more of the stats. But Jordan Fitzgibbon, he's a guy to keep your eye on in this ball game. And I think you're right. Jefferson area, I don't think presents the same type of challenge that they might have saw last week. I expect South to get it done.
Yeah, and like we mentioned, Friday night dress for the weather. Saturday night dress for the weather. It's just going to be chilly. It's going to be dry. You're going to be in the upper 20s by kickoff, so make sure you're warmed up and ready to roll. West Branch, Bookdale, Ravenna, and then at South Range High School in North Lima, it will be Canton South and Jefferson, Jefferson Airplane, Jefferson Starship, Jefferson Area. Doesn't matter. I think the Wildcats are going to get this one. George Jefferson, moving them up, Wheezy, the whole 9 yards. All right, guys, we're going to take a break. When we come back, we're going to take a look at Lake Westerville South, Maslin, and Big Walnut. Want to shout out to our good friends at, speaking of walnuts, Ben Wallenberg's Chocolates and Nuts on Fulton Road in Canton. We want to thank our good friend John Lindsay from Lindsay's Pizza on Whipple Road in Canton, 477-3800. You can get that pizza right now. St. Joe's Senior Living. Check them out, stjoeseniorliving.org. C.H. Vallis and Associates for all of your insurance needs. And, of course, McNeil & Sons Tree Service. I've seen a lot of trees and tree stumps and just a lot of activity going on the last couple of weeks with the weather changing, leaves coming down, trees need to come down, they need to get out of yards. Check them out, McNeil & Sons Tree Service. We'll take a break and come back and dig deep here in our next two ball games here from the Pro Football Hall of Fame. It's the Stark Media YouTube channel, High School Football Preview Show.
At C.H. Vallis & Associates, we've been proudly serving the greater Stark County community for over 78 years. Locally owned, we cover your home, auto, business, and life insurance along with your group benefits. Our partnership with auto owners has allowed us to span not only Ohio, but throughout the entire country. Did you know that Auto Owners, an A++ rated company by AM Best and a Fortune 500 company, has ranked C.H. Vallis & Associates a top 10 insurance agency in the state of Ohio? From your basic home and auto needs to insuring some of the largest companies in America, there's a reason people choose C.H. Vallis & Associates and Auto Owners. Our dedication and passion for our clients and their coverage is part of our commitment to excellence. For all your insurance coverage needs, there's only one call to make, and that's C.H. Vallis & Associates, located at 1302 South Main Street in North Canton. Contact us at 330-494-2776 today and see the difference in customer satisfaction.
Back at the Pro Football Hall of Fame, Sam and Drew and TJ here on Stark Media. We are getting down to the final two matchups here for our area. It's the Stark Media YouTube channel, High School Football Preview at the Pro Football Hall of Fame. And up next is Division II Lake Blue Streaks, number 2 seed. Number 3 seed, Westerville South. This ball game will be at Crater Stadium in Dover, a magnificent setting to watch a high school football game. They're still streaking over there in Uniontown, Hartville, boys. I thought this was going to be a tough one, Lake and Columbus DeSales, and it was. If DeSales doesn't put the ball on the carpet 6 times, I don't know if we're sitting here, but they did, and we are. And Coach DeGeorge's team is moving on. What do they need to do to keep moving on after this weekend?
Yeah, again, 2 weeks in a row, Lake really leaned on the running game and their defense to move on into the next round, and I think it's going to take more than that this week. Westerville South is a team that beat them last year in the playoffs, 32-10.
Yep.
Okay, so I think what does Lake have to do? They have to be more productive in the passing game. They can't just throw the ball 8 times to win this game. The defense has to continue to play well, but here's going to be a key. Westerville South really likes to use their athletes and play man-to-man. That is a dangerous game to play against these Lake Blue Streaks.
Agreed.
And I think a lot of people this year has underrated this Lake speed, and they've hurt them. They've got to do that again. And I think something that could be, they haven't let him throw the ball a lot lately, but Will Butler's ability to influence the defense with his ability to run the ball can create some play-action shots down the field. And if you want to play man-to-man and you're worried about him running the ball, I think that's going to open up some deep shots for Lake.
Well, if anybody was wondering why I was taking pictures, it's because of all of Drew's fans that have lined up out here inside of the Pro Football Hall of Fame. They knew he was going to be here, so I had to get a picture of a few of the guests. A few of the guys that will bounce the guests out of the club here this weekend. Jack McAvenue, Styles Dietz, Riley Fumano. I mean, these guys, all seniors, Anthony Miller mixed in, a big group up front. And then even your linebacking core for Lake, Joey Garrow and Christopher and Dane Jarvis. Ethan, what he's done, I mean, he's one of the best in the area at what he's able to do. I think they get after this Westerville South team. I think they probably blew everything that they had in their tank last week just to be able to take care of North Canton Hoover. Because as you mentioned, Sam, if Mason Ashby doesn't go down, I think that's
Hoover
a completely they win the game.
Hoover wins the game,
and they're moving on to face Lake. So I think maybe not enough gas left for Westerville. It seems like a little bit longer of a trip to have to come to Dover if you do it mathematically. If you just do the numbers. I think it's going to be tough for Westerville South to get the win. I think Lake goes down and really puts their foot down on the gas. Let Matt Solberger and his physical style of running impact that Westerville South front and just loosen them up. And to what you said, give Will Butler a shot to be able to hit that home run ball. Look, they're still waving out there. Jeff Shreve
now.
iHeartRadio Zone. He's the finest.
There he is. Back to crunching numbers back in the office.
Sam, I think what you and Jeff Shreve are going to see on 106.9 in the free iHeartRadio app is the big boys up front and a dominant run game from Matt Solberger, and they are going to bludgeon Westerville South until you open up the home run shot. And I hope, because I'm a huge Will Butler fan, give him the opportunity in this game to throw a couple home run shots on 1st and 10, boom, and
take
break
the reins off.
And break them.
Take the reins off a little bit.
I really want to see this Lake offense unleashed because as an offensive guy, guy who's been an offensive coordinator, I just look at their personnel and think of the things that I could do with the team. And I'm just like, this is awesome. But, they found a recipe for success. So you don't want to say, I can't say that, they're doing something wrong. They're
lost
winning.
one game.
They're winning. So it's going to be interesting. I want to see them. You've won 2 playoff games. You have a successful season. I want to see them take the reins off. I want to see them find a way to beat Westerville South, play a clean game, don't turn over the ball. I think you can do it, whether you choose to throw the ball a lot more or not. I think you can do it. And I cannot wait to see the Lake Blue Streaks. Should they win this week? I'm not guaranteeing anything because I don't want to put the Maloik on them.
Please don't.
But
my God,
he's done it twice.
Yeah, I'd love to see the Lake Blue Streaks take on Massillon because I just think that's a great opportunity for the Lake community and the kids to showcase what they've got.
Listen, we just talked about the Stark Media fantasy draft the night before Thanksgiving, right? Going to be a good time. Holidays coming up. Happy holidays, guys. We're in it. Have you taken down your Halloween ornaments yet outside?
almost.
My neighbor has. You saw that.
Turkey Tom is in the front yard already. So we
Christmas come early, and let's see the Lake Blue Streaks and the Massillon Tigers in the regional title game. That's how you get it done right there, Stark County style.
That's how you do it. Now, let me throw this little caveat in. Weather, who does it affect more? Because you're going to get it Friday night.
I think it affects Westerville South more, for sure.
It depends. Is it Ohio State Northwestern weather? Because that affects something. But if it's just rain, with the footballs that we have now. So here, I'm going to take this off here. So it's not the footballs that we played with when we were in high school. They've got this little strip here on the football. The stripes are elevated. It's more grip. You got grip on the laces now. It's really easy to throw this rock in the rain.
Yeah.
If you're the receiver, take your gloves off. Go old school. You can't catch a ball with wet gloves.
I agree.
So take the gloves off. Go old school. These kids have played in the rain. When I was a kid, God, we played in rain. That's the best time to play backyard football because then you're all muddy and messing around. So I don't think the weather affects anybody. Really, unless it's
Is this one of those Tom Brady footballs here? It looks like you had a nice extra grip on it right there.
Yeah, a little underflated, but
I think you're right. I think the big boys up front, they are not going to be scared of it. Matt Solberger is not going to be scared of it. I think they come out and they get aggressive, do what they can. And Will Butler, he's got big hands. He should be able to chuck it down.
both those quarterbacks.
The way he plays on both sides of the ball, there's a toughness inside of Will Butler that I think you and I can respect and appreciate. And you know what? Now it's time. Take the reins off.
Yeah,
march down the field.
Kale Jarvis, he has thrown some picks here in the last couple of weeks. That can't happen. Can't happen in this game, but I think it's going to be phenomenal.
All right, just one last time here, just because these guys think the rain has no bearing on anything at all. 15 to 25 mile-an-hour winds, 1 to 2 inches of rain, 100%.
Listen, if you're playing
20-mile-per-hour winds plus, then I'm worried. But
all right,
under that,
if you're playing offensive line like Ohio State is up in Evanston, it's a little softer version of what I remember when I was lining up for them. But we'll digress on that one for sure. The Lake Blue Streaks, I do not think are soft up front. And on their defensive front seven with the linebackers mixed in, I think they could give somebody out west a little bit of a challenge.
Oh, boy. All right. Well, speaking of out west, the Massillon Tigers have just been rolling all season long. Since their opening week loss to Moeller, they have demolished everybody in their way, and I think they're going to do it again tonight. They played this Sunbury Big Walnut team in the past. It seems like these teams always match up over at Mansfield. Massillon maybe has a slow start, and they start to pick up the pieces, and by the third quarter, it's a wrap. I expect the same thing this weekend.
Yeah, this Massillon defense, number one, they pitched a shutout in the playoffs. That's not easy to do. Their defense is outstanding. They're running the ball really well. Jalen Slaughter to Ardell Banks for the third consecutive game. That connection's been made in the end zone. Third consecutive game. If you're Massillon right now, I think they're the heavy favorite. But one thing I would do if I'm Massillon is you've been running the ball so well and Jalen Slaughter hasn't had pressure on him. I would actually throw the ball more. Once you get a lead, I would throw the ball more because there's going to come a time in this playoff that the weight's going to be put on his shoulders like it was against St. Ed's. And he's going to have to complete passes. So you want to keep him sharp.
I like that.
I'd like to see him throw the ball about 15, 17 times, not less than 10, because I want to keep him sharp in the passing game, sharp and in rhythm. So if there is a time that they do have to throw the ball, it's not like, okay, we haven't done this in 5 weeks.
There's a few things you need to know. First off, Wiltrell Hartson has records to extend here. He wants to get to his number 12th game in a row for rushing over 100 yards in a game. He broke Jameer Thomas's record last week. He's got 11 now. That was impressive to watch. 142 yards, 3 touchdowns, 7.1 yards per carry. I mean, we're previewing Stark Media Fantasy Draft. I want number 4 on my squad. This dude gets it done. College coaches get on top of him. The other thing is, first of all, salute Nate Moore, 81.
Congratulations, Coach.
You surpassed Paul Brown. Paul Brown, a legend, down the hall here. His bus is in this place. So really good stuff to see that. He got the bath afterwards. They showered him, the little Gatorade from Marcus Moore Jr. and the guys. And then the other thing I wanted to tell you is Catfish Kale told me to send you a message. You did call him Kale Jarvis.
I know.
At the end of the second segment last week. And it's
because we were just talking about Kale Jarvis. So now and I said it right afterwards. I said
excuse.
I meant Kale Miller, not Kale Jarvis. So I'm sorry.
So I got a chance to see those guys as they were celebrating with Coach. They popped out there to the Irish over off of Hills and Dales and popped in on those guys. Kale Miller, Catfish Kale, we'll just call him Catfish. He said, man, he goes, thanks for giving me some love. Tell Drew he messed up, but he said, I echo his sentiments. Let's throw the ball more. His receivers like that. Coach Jarrett Troxler, he's training Jalen Slaughter to be the guy and move in, over the next 2 years as the premier quarterback in Stark County. You're playing a Sunbury Big Walnut team that you smoked last year. You put a running clock on them when they were the number 1 seed.
Yeah.
I like it. Pass the ball a little bit more. Get Will Trout to 100. Keep him happy. Keep the offensive line happy.
Get him to 100. Get him
like
out.
you said, they've been rolling. I mean, you look at some of these stats I got here from in front of me from Canal Winchester, but go all the way back to Week 5, what you saw against St. Ed's. What I saw Week 6 when they beat an undefeated Fitch team by running for over 400 yards on the ground. This is a good, solid group, man. We had Sam Snodgrass in the studio in the vault the other day. Might have sparked his fire a little bit to find out that he hadn't made any local award teams. So he's another guy to me. He's a first pick. Sam Snodgrass is one of the best tackles in the area. He's the best tackle on their team. He's been the best offensive lineman on their team this year. He's a leader. That group is really rolling up front.
Yeah, they are rolling. They have just taken care of everybody that's been in their way. And again, we look forward to this again on Friday. So over at Mansfield, Massillon, Sunbury Big Walnut, 99.7 FM, free iHeartRadio app. Down at Crater Stadium in Dover, it'll be Lake and Westerville South, 7 o'clock kick, 6:45 pregame, also in the free iHeartRadio app. And a little bonus coverage this weekend from the Akron Holy War, St. Vincent St. Mary, Archbishop Hoban. Drew and the crew will be at InfoCision on the Stark Media YouTube channel, again, 6:45 on Friday. Before we wrap up, guys, anything you want to get out there?
Yeah, I know we're all going to do this on Saturday or Sunday. Should Massillon and Lake both win, fingers crossed that they do, we're all going to have this conversation and everyone's going to be doing it. Where do you think they put that game?
Where do they play that game?
I don't.
Now, keep in mind all the variables.
Yeah. Will Benson bid?
No, I don't think they will. I'd like to see it. I'd like to see it at my alma mater, Glen Oak High School.
Benson's out.
Put
Benson's
it in plain
out.
local. And then stop down at tugboats afterwards. Plain local.
These guys worried about
yeah, I
postgame.
mean, you could put it. You could put it there. Obviously, Hoover isn't an option.
Hoover's
They're renovating that.
Perry's not hosting it.
Yeah, Perry probably won't.
Coach
host that
Wakefield's going to be coming out of the Dover press box just to help Westerville South coach against Lake. He can't help himself.
So I mean, where do you put that? I mean, you got to think that There's going to be
Okay, let's do it this way.
How about Green? How about Green High School?
Green could host it.
What is the capacity needed? Now, also keep in mind,
I think it's 8 to 10 Gs.
Especially from our point of view, you got to have press box facilities.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
it's going to be overload, bandwidth, space. Come on, let's get that right, okay? So you're going to need, I think, Massillon. I think you're going to need seating between Massillon, Lake, and Joe Hungry football fan. If the weather's nice,
8,000.
I was going to say 7,500 to 8.
Go to InfoCision. Come on, InfoCision's opening up the doors. Keep it in Akron.
I think InfoCision.
Pay that rent?
Massillon will. The Tiger Booster Club.
HSA is going to pay that rent. Ain't happening.
They just hosted that St. V Hoban game, I think, because there was a lot of public pressure.
No,
it'll be packed, and it will be packed.
And there will be.
There'll be over. Will there be 20 Gs there?
No, I think there'll be about 13,000.
Okay,
but that's more than an Akron football game, right? I mean, unfortunately, but no, I mean, and Joe Bogdan talked about this. Remember a few years back, Massillon was complaining about playing at Lake. Standing room is goes into account too.
Yeah.
So I think a place like Green could hold this game. Perry could hold this game. Gleno could hold that game. But the press box is going to have to be. In the discussion. So I just hope it's someplace, and once you get there, just be appreciative that you're in the game.
Yep, exactly.
Once they announce the site, I don't hear anyone complain, this.
Yeah.
No, you're in the game.
Remember what happened last year, though? There was and they moved the game.
It was supposed to be at Northwest, and they shifted out to Mansfield. But, what we know personally here is that from our Stark Media power rankings all season long, one of the constants has been Massillon, and it's been Lake. 1-2, right there. Bang, bang. Line them up. Let them play. Have it inside of Stark County, and let it roll. Unless you go to Green, but, hey, somewhere close, don't put something like this away that you have to travel people an hour. Don't do that.
How about
Kent State?
How about,
go to Dick. No.
I think Mount Union would be big enough.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, they're probably going to be hosting a playoff
they'll
game.
be hosting a game at noon the next day, so probably not a good idea there.
But then, okay, so we talk about that. What if Canton South and West Branch both win? Louisville?
I would think. Of course, remember, these teams have to put a bid in.
Yeah.
You can't just say, hey, go play there. Look, there's a lot of places the OHSA would love to have games, but if the host site doesn't want to host, then you got to look somewhere else.
Yep.
Yeah.
So we'll see. All right, boy, lots to unpack and repack and get ready for this big weekend. Lake Westerville South, Massillon, and Big Walnut, and, of course, we'll have coverage as well, Canton South, Jefferson area, West Branch, Bookville. Get on the Stark Media train, Stark Media YouTube, at Stark Media Team on Instagram, on Twitter, and, of course, the Stark Media Facebook page. It's going to be a wild weekend. What a shout-out, Lindsay's Pizza, Ben Wallenberg Chocolates, St. Joe's Senior Living, C.H. Vallis and Associates, and, of course, our good friends at McNeil & Sons Tree Service. For TJ and Drew, I'm Sam. Enjoy the upcoming games this weekend. We'll see you next time here on the Stark Media YouTube channel.